Welcome to Raj Online Trainings. In the series of Spring Framework and Spring Boot tutorial, let us go with one more module today. Already we have discussed this module, that is Spring JDBC module, that is Spring DAO module, and we have done the configuration using XML file. I have shown the example with a Spring Bean XML configuration file. Today we are going to see the same module, that is Spring JDBC module, and here we are going to see Java based or annotation based configuration. Today we are going to see what? Java based configuration. Now, so before we go to this module, let me just recap about plain JDBC. When we go with the plain JDBC, what are the steps we need to handle the exceptions? Means we have to write the code in try and catch block, load the driver class, establish the connection, then create statement, execute statement, close statement, and close connection. So these many steps we do when we go with the plain JDBC. Coming to Spring JDBC, the number of steps is what here? Only one step, that is execute statement. So load the driver class, establish connection, and closing operations, handling exceptions, all the things are taken care by the Spring framework. So here our work is as a Java developer, execute statement here. And already we know the class what we use for Spring JDBC. I have discussed it in the previous video. What is that? The class what we use? JDBC template class. JDBC template class of Spring API is used for Spring JDBC. So for Spring JDBC, the class what we are going to use? JDBC template class. Now, let us see the complete application on this. How to develop the Spring JDBC application, and it is the configuration we are going to do Java based or annotation based configuration today. Now, so first of all, let us create a database table. So I have opened MySQL prompt. Here, let us use our database Spring DB. Now, let us create a table. Let me go with the name of the table as student. Let me say student number int of 3, student name varchar of 10, then student marks int of 3. So we have created a table student. So what is the problem here? Create table. Why we have written create a table? Okay, create table student. Right, we have created the table student here with the 3 fields, 3 columns: student number, student name, and student marks. Now, coming to Spring application, let us open Eclipse, and we have created this Spring project, and already we have added the project dependencies in pym.xml file. So already we have added the dependencies, that is one is for Spring JDBC module, and one more we have added for MySQL connector. Already we have done this part in the last videos. So today objective is just we go with the annotation based configuration, Java based configuration that we are going to discuss. And for that, let me create one Java Bean class under com.spring.davo. In the last video, I have created this package com.spring.davo. In this package, let us create one Java Bean class or a project class student. Now, in this class student, let us go with the properties like private int student number, private string student name, private int student marks. Now, generate getters and setter methods. Source, generate getters and setters, select all, generate. So the Java Bean class is ready now. Now once we create this class student, with these three properties and setters and getter methods. Now, the next step, let us create a plan, a DAO interface, where we go with the methods which you want to operate this student table. So for that, let us create one interface. Let me go with the name student DAO. Student DAO. DAO means dot access object. Here in this interface, let us go with the methods like public void insert student, which takes student object as argument. So whatever the student object we give, which holds student number, name and marks, that details we want to insert into student table. That's the role of insert student method. Next, public void update student. If you provide the student number, then string student name. If I provide the student number, we want to change the marks, let us suppose. Can even go with the name also. So we want to change the marks. Let us go with one more method, delete student. If you provide the student number, that record we want to delete based on primary key. Then public list map string comma object list students. So this method will return all the records present in student table. So these are about import statements related to list and map. This completes our interface. Once we create this interface, we need to implement this interface. Now, create the implementation class. Right click on this com.spring.dao package and say new class. Let me go with the name student DAO IMPL. Now, make this class implements student DAO. Then we get error here. Keep mouse pointer on this error and you can click here, add unimplemented methods. So all the interface methods will be in front of us. So based on the requirement, we have to write the code inside the methods. Now, so before we write the code inside these methods, the property what we use for Spring JDBC, the class what we use, we go for JDBC template. So let us go with the property JDBC template. JDBC template. Now, import the package for JDBC template present in this package org.springframework.jdbc.core. Now inject this property. To inject this property, let us go with a setter method, set JDBC template, which takes JDBC template as argument, and we'll say this dot JDBC template equal to JDBC template. So we are using setter injection to give the value to the property. Now once let us inject this property first. So in order to inject this property, previously what we have done, we have created Spring Bean XML configuration file. But in this video, we want to go with what? Java based configuration. We want to go with what here? Java based configuration. So for that, let us create one configuration file. So right click on com.spring.dao. I'm just using same package here. Let us create a class JDBC config. As we are going with Java based, I'm creating a class JDBC config. Say finish. In this JDBC config class, in order to mark it as a configuration class, what annotation we have to use? @configuration. I have discussed in the last class. Last video I have discussed about how to go with Java based. So above the configuration class, we have to use the annotation @configuration. Now in this, go with the method public data source get data source. So this method will return the database connection properties and they will be present in data source. Here we are going to make use of a class driver manager data source. So create object of driver manager data source, new driver manager data source. Once we create object of driver manager dot source, set the database connection properties like this. Data source dot set driver class name. So what is the driver class name? To connect to MySQL, com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver. Then next step, data source dot set URL. What is the URL? To connect to MySQL, jdbc colon mysql colon slash slash localhost colon 3306 slash springdb. The database name we have created is springdb. Then next step, data source dot set username as root. Then data source dot set password as root. So these are four are the database connection properties where we are setting into this data source. Once all the properties are set, just say return data source. Now mark it as a bean. Mark it as a bean. How to mark it as a bean? @bean. Next one, go with the method public JDBC template get JDBC template. Here create object of JDBC template. Once we create object of JDBC template, just say here JDBC template dot set data source. So to this we have to call get data source method. So once we call here get data source, okay, get data source, this method will get invoked and this data source object will be returned over here, right? Now once we set the data source, with this data source, this with all database connection properties are ready with this JDBC template now. Now return JDBC template. Now and mark it as a bean. How to mark it? @bean. Now one more method you create. One more method we need to create, that is public student DAO. Student DAO. Here we create object of student DAO IMPL. DAO equal to new student DAO IMPL. We are creating object of student DAO IMPL and say DAO.set JDBC template. See here in student DAO IMPL, we are having this property JDBC template and we are injecting using setter method. So to that we have to pass this get JDBC template and say return DAO. That's it. Return DAO and mark it as @bean. That's it. So here once we refer to the student DAO, which creates object of student DAO IMPL, and here we are injecting JDBC template by calling this method get JDBC template, and this JDBC template it is setting the data source, and data source contains all our database connection properties. So this is the way we write we go forward Java based configuration here. Instead of Spring Bean XML configuration file, we are providing all the database connection details, injecting one bean into another by using the configuration file, Java based or annotation based configuration file over here. Now, once this property is ready, now write the code inside the methods. Now, let us go with the methods. Write one by one method here. Let us go with insert student first. Insert student. Go with the SQL command string SQL equal to insert into student values question marks. Now execute this. How to execute? Simple. JDBC template dot update. Just we have to call the method JDBC template dot update. Pass your SQL command, and the question mark should replace with our student number, name and marks here. So from where we get this data? Student object. So call this respect to getter methods like this. Stud dot get student number. So once you call the method stud dot get student number, first question mark will be replaced with our student number. Similarly, stud dot get student name. Stud dot get student name. Then stud dot get student marks. So we are just calling the respective getter methods to replace these question mark values. Now go with the message student inserted. Now, coming to the next method, update student. Update student. Now go with the SQL command, string SQL equal to update student set student marks equal to question mark, where student number equal to question mark. Now execute this. How to execute? JDBC template.update. Pass your SQL command. First question mark should replace with the student marks. This first question mark should replace with our argument student marks, and second question mark with the student number. This second question mark should replace with what argument value? Student number argument value. So what are the student number we provide? For that we want to update the marks here. Go with the message student updated. Next one, delete. So go with the SQL command, string SQL equal to delete from student, where student number equal to question mark. Now write here JDBC template.update. Pass your SQL command, question mark you replace with student number argument. So this question mark will be replaced with our student number argument. Go with the message student deleted. Then coming to this list students, go with the SQL command, select star from student, then say return JDBC template dot query for list. We have to call which method? Query for list. Pass your SQL command. This query for list will return list map string comma object. List map string comma object. Meaning whenever we use select commands here, let me take an example. Whenever we go with select command, select star from let me take account. I have shown about account. So here we are getting the list of account details. So whenever we use select star from table, we get what? List of records here. That list we manage with the list here. And how these records are? The column headings. The column headings will act as the keys, and the records will act as the values. And how to manage key value pairs in Java? We use map. That's the reason here it is map. And the keys are of what type? The column names are of type string. And what about values? We don't know what values we store. It is object here. So this is the explanation of return type. Now, so this completes our code, the implementation class. Now the final step, we have to go with the test class. We have to test our application. So in order to test the application, let us create one test class, student. Let me go with student test with main method. Then this, in this student test, create reference of application context ctx equal to new annotation configuration. Since we are going with Java based or annotation based, here this application context is implemented by annotation config application context. To this we need to pass our configuration class. What is that configuration class? JDBC config dot class here. JDBC config dot class. Since we are going with Java based or annotation based, here we have to provide this JDBC config class as argument to this application context. Now, once we refer to this JDBC config, import the packages. So these are the respective packages. Now go here, student DAO equal to ctx dot get bean. What is that bean? Student DAO impl dot class. So once we set student DAO impl dot class, so this object will get returned for student DAO. This object will get returned. So which injects JDBC template. JDBC template injects data source, and data source contains all the database connection properties. So that is how it is going to work over here. Now the properties are injected here. Now create object of student. Create object of student. Set the values. Set student number. Set student name. Set student name. Set marks. Now the object is ready with values. Now what we have to do, by using DAO, call the method insert student and pass your student object. That's it. Now see, let us run this code. We get the message student inserted and check your table. What is our table name? Select star from student. The table name is select star from student. So we get the record here. The record got inserted. So let us insert some more records. Like just I'm changing the values 222. Smith, some mark 600. Now run this code. Student inserted. Let us insert one more. 333. John 550 or 400 something. Now run this piece of code. We get student inserted. So in our table totally we are having 3 records. We are having totally 3 records. Now let us display these records. So in order to display the records, which method we have to invoke? List students. So let me keep this code in comments. Now say list map string comma object student list equal to DAO dot list students. Import the respective packages list and map. Then so once you call the method list students, it's going to return the list of records present in the table. These records will be returned, and these records are stored where in this map student list. So this student list is what type here? Map type. So traverse it for map stud colon student list. And how to traverse it? By using stud. In map we are having get method. To the get method, what we have to pass? The key. What are the keys here? The column names acts as the keys. These column names acts as the keys. So in map, if you to the get method, if you pass the key, it's going to return the values. That only we are doing here. Stud dot get of student number. So here we have to print it. Stud dot get of student number, then space stud dot get of student name, then space stud dot get of student marks. That's it. Now see, once we run, we get the list of records on our console. Now the next step, updating. For that you can call the method DAO dot update student. For the ID 111, we want to change the marks to 550. So the previous marks are 500 for the student ID 111. The previous marks are 500. Now we want to update to 550. Just to call the method, and once we run, we get see student updated. And if you check your table for student ID 111, the marks are now updated to 550. Now Let us go with the next one, delete. DO dot delete student. Let me go with the ID 33 or 222, some ID, your wish. So you can pass the year 222. Let me run this. We get the message student deleted, and if you check our table, we are left out with the 2 records. 222 has been deleted. So these are the crude operations what we have performed in this test class here. And this application we have developed with what? Not Spring Bean XML configuration file. It is Java based. We are going with the Java based configuration here. So this Java based configurations are very, very important. Please practice on this. So if you practice only, the frameworks will become very easy for us to work. Right? So that's about in this video. Please subscribe, like and share. Thank you.